Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Mastery Podcast. I'm really glad you're here. You're in for a special treat today. I've been trying to get this cat on my podcast. I called you a cat. That's a good thing. I'm just trying to pretend like I'm cool.
All right. You are cool.
People say cat.
Yeah.
It sounds like, anyway.
Old people like to say cat.
I've been trying to get Chris Kleewein on the podcast for like forever. And he's just so busy doing deals, hanging out with his family, crazy awesome things. And he's in St. Louis. He's one of the biggest active wholesalers in St. Louis. And I love seeing his emails. He sends emails all the time with his latest properties. And you just had a big deal recently that you were trying to sell really quickly. Is it okay if I ask you this live podcast in front of millions and millions of people? Chris, you had to have it sold in 5 days or something.
Yeah, I sent it out on Sunday. We needed it to close on Thursday. Yes. And what is today? Wednesday. We got it. I actually am pretty fortunate. I've spent years here in St. Louis building a buyer's list, so I've probably got about 16 to 18,000 names on my buyer's list. So we did an email blast on Sunday, and then by Monday we had a buyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
This was a smoking hot deal. And I brought this up because I love getting Chris's emails. I'm on his buyer's list. None of his deals are good enough for me, but I like seeing his, right. I'm just kidding. They are really good deals, but I love seeing Chris's deals out there because just nobody's doing this anymore, right? Like everybody thinks it's so hard and it's difficult to do deals. And St. Louis is not that competitive, but it is. I mean, we've got other wholesalers out there. But Chris just keeps on plugging away, chugging away. He's been at it for a long time. He's built a great buyer's list, and he can sell these deals lightning fast. And I didn't even prep him with that question. I put him on the spot because I don't know what happened. Did you have a buyer that fell through before, Chris?
No, the deal was actually with one of my students who kind of graduated out of my program. So we weren't doing deal splits anymore, and he's built his own list. He had a couple of investors go over and look at it, and then really couldn't find a buyer, and he was just about ready to give the deal back. And I said, hey, let me take a shot at it. So sent it out, found a buyer for him the first day. So it's scheduled to close tomorrow. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Chris and I used to share an office. He was always trying to steal my assistant and asking her if she could work for him. But Chris is a good friend of mine. Hey, first of all, just a few housekeeping things. This podcast is being broadcast live right now across the interwebs on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope. So if you're listening to this or watching it live right now, type in a comment or a question, say hellos, tell us where you're from, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you watch this podcast, you like the show. I'd really appreciate it. I look at your comments and feedbacks. And if you have a question, type it in there as well. And I'll make sure that we ask Chris any questions that you have. So if you're watching this right now, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Number 2, number 3, give us a comment, say hello, tell us where you're from. Okay. Now, one other thing I want to bring to your attention, this podcast is being brought to you by my book. It's called Wholesaling Lease Options, and you can get it right now at WLOBook.com. Isn't that fancy, Chris? I got the banner right there at the bottom.
I'm going to have to go and get that book, WLOBook.com.
WLO Book. And it even has a coffee stain on the cover. No, this is just my copy. But they make great coasters, right? So like you can get this book and put your coffee cup on it. And then while you're drinking your coffee, you can actually read it. It's all killer, no filler. It's not like it's got huge margins and lots of white stuff. It's got like a lot of text. You see that there? And get this book. It's free. You just pay shipping and handling. Go to WLOBook.com. This is the thing that got me started way back. And I knew Chris at this time, way back, flipping lease options. Okay. So get it right now at WLOBook.com. Now we got some comments from folks. We got Phil. Hey, Phil from Chicago. Now, wait, hold on. We got to talk about this like man to man. Are you a Cubs fan? Because if you are, we're in St. Louis right now. You can just leave. You can get off. I'm just kidding. But you better not be a Cubs fan or a Milwaukee Brewers fan. So I think Phil, he's cool. He's probably a White Sox fan. We got Thomas from Detroit. I'm just kidding. Hey, Thomas, what's going on? Henry from Maryland. Sweet. Bobby from New Jersey. I was just there a couple days ago. I can see why they call it the Garden State. I mean, maybe not. Like, I don't get it. Anyway.
Man, you're everywhere, Joe. I gotta tell you, when we first shared an office together, part of the thrill was walking by your assistant's desk and asking her, well, where's Joe? It was kind of like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego or whatever that cartoon is? I don't know, but it's like, well, he's always somewhere in a different world area. And that was part of, my dream or my vision was to travel. And so we finally were able to do that. Last year, we spent a month in Mexico. And the whole time I was thinking about you being it. Where were you before Russia?
Prague. We'll talk about that because
Right.
you've been taking some cool trips. We even got Jeff Hensley from the Periscope. He's here from Asheville. Best lead source. Well, remind me, Chris. Let's ask you that. I'm going to guess direct mail.
Direct mail, 100%.
Love it. Bam. Brad from Facebook, Minnesota. Good. That's a good question. We'll cover that. Erica from Youngstown, Ohio. And guess what? Phil is a White Sox fan. Yes. Okay. Trevor from Hampstead, North Carolina. David, what's up from Orlando, Florida? And we're flipping some vacant land right now near Florida. That's crazy. Yeah. Garden State.
You've done that a lot lately, though, haven't you? Vacant land stuff?
Yeah. We'll talk about that if you want. But like, my boys are helping me do it now, and it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So, Aishu from Fort Worth, what's up? How you doing? So glad you guys are here. All right, let's jump into this. Let me put this back up here. There, see, we got your name and my name. Chris,
cool.
We've known each other a long time, right? Like, I think we met through a mutual friend, coach, Sean McCloskey. Is that right?
Yeah. And then I had met you at some local RIAs here in town, and our sons were in the Boy Scouts together, did the Boy Scout parade together. We shared an office together for years. Of course, you were never there, traveling the world and doing what you do. So I always thought that was cool. I always looked up to that.
Chris and I remember did you ever go to Sean McCloskey's meetings that he used to have in his old retail office? Do you remember that?
Yeah. Kind of in that REI Black Book boardroom back in there.
Yeah. Well, okay. But there was, I thought a long time ago, before that even.
Oh,
well,
no,
anyway.
not a big office. No.
Okay. All right.
But I would do phone calls.
You were doing what?
I would do phone calls, dial into the conference calls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, Chris and I have been friends for a long time, and he's been an active investor. How long have you been, at least trying to do deals in St. Louis, Chris?
I've been doing it for about 23 years. My very first deal was a no money down deal where I bought a 2-family flat in U City and moved into one side of it and rented out the other. And I was hooked after that.
Nice.
The guy pulls up in this BMW, fills out an application, and I was working corporate at the time, fills out an application, and he's making more than double what I'm making, and he wants to rent from me, and his rent was going to be enough to pay the mortgage. I'm like, yes, I love this real estate thing. So it just went on from there. So
I'm going to ask you about that. How did you get started in the business? What got you interested in real estate?
I'm probably like everybody else. When I was a kid, I saw the Carlton Sheets infomercials. I had a buddy that wanted to partner with me. I had a credit card at that time. I was probably a senior in high school and was able to have a credit card. My buddy didn't. So I used my credit card, and he offered to have it shipped to his address. And we're like, okay, great partnership. I still, to this day, have never, ever seen that. It got shipped there, and I don't know what he did with it. And I'm sure it was old VHS tapes or something. So I've always been excited about it. And then, just at the right time, I stumbled across a real estate agent that would help me get into that 2-family flat I was talking about with no money down. And then it just kind of rolled from there. I started attending RIA meetings, started networking, started going to training, signed up with coaches and mentors. I'm a huge believer in having a coach and mentor, and just continue to follow that.
Do you remember the WIN meetings?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a long time ago. Yeah. What did WIN stand for? WIN, Wealth
Improvement Network.
Wealth Improvement. Yeah. And then there was the Street, the RIA club called the Street. Yeah.
And then Sean took it over, made it the Life and Air RIA, and now it's the Heartland RIA. I think Chuck's got it now, and Dave Barry. Cool.
So you love Carlton Sheets. I've never gone through one of his courses, but he's kind of the heroes in our industry, isn't he? Because he was out there teaching this stuff And yeah, he made a lot of money. But you know what? I talk about this a lot. I think it was Robert Allen. Oh, check this out. Hold on. Wait. You're going to love this.
All right. I can't wait. I've actually never, ever looked at Carlton Sheets. I ordered it. I paid for it, but my buddy's got it, and I'm still friends with him. I've still never seen it. So what you got there?
Isn't that embarrassing? I got my boxes right there. My
Hey.
office looks like a mess. It's not a mess, but it's just the boxes have to be right where it's backwards. The boxes have to be right where the camera is. Okay, check this out. This is
I just
so
want
cool.
to know what's in the safe back there. That's all. There's a safe back there. Go ahead.
Nothing down. Look at this. Robert Allen. Can you see it, or is it backwards?
Totally revised for the 80s. I love it.
I found this on eBay. I love it. Robert Allen, totally revised for the 80s with dynamic new profit strategies for cash flow and appreciation in real estate.
You know what? I bet we bust that open. I bet most of that stuff still works today. You know,
I bet you 99% of it works. Yeah. I mean, like he may talk about going to classified ads or something to find deals or advertise deals, but like, yeah, he
didn't have the internet then.
I need to read this. I'd love to do that. I bought it on eBay. I want to go back and I want to find like all of the old real estate books. Some of my favorite books on real estate were written way back in 2000, late 90s, early 2000s. And but Robert Allen said this. This is the reason why I brought this up. He said, I've made my millions doing real estate. I've made my hundreds of millions teaching people how to do real estate. And okay, yeah, people bash the gurus all the time because they make a lot of money. But you know what? If it wasn't for those guys, we wouldn't have learned about real estate to begin with, would we? If it wasn't for the Robert Allens, the Carlton Sheets, who was that other guy? Russ Whitney. What was that Asian guy?
Yeah.
There was
Ron
LeGrand,
a big one.
Tommy Vu. Do you remember Tommy Vu? Anybody who's watching this should go look him up on YouTube. He's this Asian guy. And anyway, I won't say any more than that. But like he got into a lot of trouble. But like I thank God for the gurus that were out there teaching this stuff.
Yeah.
Because they were willing to share their knowledge. And it got, my coach started, who then coached somebody else who got started, then who coached me. Yeah. And I don't complain about these guys ever.
I don't either. I think what it does is it teaches us abundance. If we had the scarcity mindset, there wasn't enough deals out there, then nobody would want to share with anybody. Everybody would worry about competition. That's one thing I love about you, Joe, is you've got no secrets. You'll share everything, and you have, and I love that. It's that abundance mindset that there's plenty of deals for all of us. And we're willing to help each other. And so I'm with you on that. I thank God for the gurus. Without them, I don't know that I would be doing what I'm doing.
Have you heard of Dave DelDOT? I've heard the name, but I don't know who he is.
I'm not familiar with that. No.
Sorry, Bobby. Your guru wasn't as famous as our gurus. No,
I don't, that's probably the younger generation. There's probably gurus now on YouTube that people watch all the time, which I don't. One of the things, if I had to give anybody, oh boy. All right.
Tommy Vu with the hot chicks and bikinis on his boat. Oh my gosh. If you want a good laugh, let me just tell you, go to YouTube, do a search for Tommy Vu real estate.
In his boat?
Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I'm trying to be like culturally sensitive and not politically incorrect. But, and we've talked a lot about this, Chris, you have a lot of courses. And I've borrowed some of yours. You've borrowed some of mine, and it's just really cool to look back at that stuff and learn from it. I'm constantly investing in my education. What are you as well? Like, what are you? What's your perspective on that?
I am right now. What I feel like for me is networking with other people in the industry, always trying to continue to learn. I think that. Constant learning is so important. But having said that, I also would if you ask me my one piece of advice for new people, it's be consistent and don't give up, be consistent, but then also be careful of the shiny object. It's so easy for us to get distracted. Look over here, be consistent. And a lot of times that, some of the ways gurus come to us are with those offers that are, it's the lure of this, and you try it for a minute but you don't put in enough effort to actually make it work. And then you're off to the next thing. So I feel like find your thing, stick with it, learn from people that have gone down the path before. Don't try to reinvent it. I've seen want people, well, because I'm a St. Louis guy, I've been in the audience when you were teaching and you're handing out your course and you've got this 1-page sheet for the lease options.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm sitting in the back and there's people going, oh, this isn't right. They're trying to make it into a 17-page document or something. I'm like, what are you doing? It works. Just use it. Just use it.
Yeah, that, what got you, Chris, from being the professional student, which I was for about 4 years. When we first met, like I was that guy going to all the boot camps and the workshops. And you remember Chris Kirshner, he would come into town and I loved his stuff, but like it took me forever to implement it because I was afraid of making mistakes. I was afraid of success even, right? Like, so what got you out of, study mode into doing deals mode, actually making offers?
Boy,
Or was that never a problem for you? It's not a problem for everybody.
Well, when I started, I was in corporate, and I had this dream. You and I have similar backgrounds. So my background's electrical engineering. I went to WashU to get my MBA. My vision was to go up the corporate ladder and be a C-level executive, CIO, CEO, CFO, something. I joined in the IT industry, and so quickly I moved up. So I was a manager, but I reported up the food chain into the CIO, and I realized, man, I could be there for another 50. I could die here and still never make it the 3 or 4 steps up the ladder. And what I realized quickly was it's not about what you do. We don't get promoted in the corporate world for doing a good job. It's who you like and do they like you. It's all the politics, which I never ever anticipated. Right, as a kid. Yeah. I would never thought that. So as I got into that and I realized I wasn't getting the fulfillment from the job, I found fulfillment in real estate. When I first bought that 2-family, I loved it. And so then I did another one and then did a flip and did a rehab. So at that point for me, it was about, growing my knowledge because I want to be kind of like you, the deal engineer. If I get a deal and it doesn't fit as a wholesale, what else can I do with this, right? And so for me, that was what gaining knowledge was about, is understanding what it is, understanding the terms of the industry, and learning from people who had been there before so I don't have to recreate the wheel, and just being good at what I do. That was what it was for me. That's what I enjoy.
What percent of your deals today are creative finance versus just cash flips, wholesale, or even rehabs? Like what's your kind of, how are you doing deals today?
So for me today, I do a lot of partnership with students, and I believe not to have tons of students. I want a few number of students that I can give them a lot of time. So I don't have any students outside of St. Louis. I'm a St. Louis guy. When I started, so my mentor said, hey, put together this course, travel the country. So I put together a home study course. Started out and I probably had 8 or 10 places that I went to that first.
Wait, no, we didn't. Sean or whoever it was, we didn't tell you to do that. You said you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And right on. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then I immediately got out there and was spending the night in another city, in a hotel that I wasn't familiar with and not without my family. And I thought I thought that was my vision. Clearly wasn't my vision. So now, I stepped back and I prayed about it and just tried to figure out, where is my vision? What am I doing? And I found I don't need to leave St. Louis. I can do all the deals I want to do. And I get a real passion from helping other people do the deals. So that's what I do now. So a lot of my deals are student deals. For me personally, quite a bit, probably about 40% of my deals come in through referrals. What I like to do now is travel. So I'll wholesale just about everything I can wholesale. If it looks like a good property to keep, I'll do that. And I'll do either private money or creative financing. And when
you buy and hold a property.
When I buy and hold. And what I do now is I like to just do 5-year notes or less. I think 30-year note, going through the whole down.
You're talking about on the buy side when you're buying.
On the buy side. I'll sell on a 30-year note, but on the buy side, I don't like anything longer than a 5-year note. Because going through the downturn, people lost everything because of the banks. If you can get it free and clear as fast as possible, then I think that's where it's at. So that's my vision for everyone today, is get your properties free and clear as fast as possible. Now, having said that, there's tons of people teaching the Burr Method. I'm just saying it's not for me, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. It is for some people, and
Yeah.
here's the thing. Well, first of all, let me explain what the Burr Method is. Buy, renovate, rehab. No. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, right? And then
And
redo.
yeah, repeat it.
So the idea is just keep on getting as much bank loans and buy as many houses as you can. Problem with that is if and when the market goes down again, you might be caught in a world of hurt, right? Like I don't know if you've met anybody, Chris, in the last downturn that went into foreclosure and bankruptcy who owned free and clear houses.
No,
Do you?
not free and clear. No, but bank loan. Joe, we just had a guy this week, local St. Louis guy, using the Burr Method. And a lot of times in the Burr Method, you can only qualify for so many federally backed Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac loans, between 4 and 8, maybe 10, depending on how you push it. So most people go into the portfolio loans where the bank gives you a 20-year note, but they reassess it every 3 years and decide whether they're going to continue to extend the loan or readjust.
Yeah, let's talk about that. What happens when they say no?
So that just happened. So this guy's got 25 houses here in St. Louis, and the bank decided that they weren't managed the way that the bank wanted to see them managed because a large number of them were vacant. So then when they reevaluated the values, they were way below what he owed on it. So the bank said, hey, you either need to bring this huge amount of money to the table or we're calling the note due. And he wasn't in a position to bring the money to the table. So he ended up this week doing deed in lieu and signing those properties all back to the bank. So,
is somebody in St. Louis?
Somebody in St. Louis right now this week.
Do I know this person?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know this person.
Okay. Yikes. Are you serious?
I'm serious. So it's happening now. Even in the strongest economy we've seen in St. Louis, stuff can happen. Now, I don't know him. I don't know his story, but you get 25 rentals and life happens. And say you get sick or you're, aging parent or anything, cancer, you name it, kid gets in a wreck, anything could happen that takes your focus off the ball of those 25 rentals for a while, say a year or two, and some of them go vacant and things mushroom out of control, the bank's going to snatch them back. But if you've got them free and clear, nobody's going to come and take them away. And I believe that's super important.
I just heard a story the other day, kind of similar related, but a person had a property that was vacant. And they had a fire or something happened to the house. It was an investment property, a rental or something, but it was vacant. And the insurance company said, no, we're not going to cover it because it was vacant. And it had been vacant for too long or something like that.
Yeah.
So there's some, obviously that's going to hurt anybody, even if they own the house free and clear. But here's the problem that I had personally for me. And I'd be curious. I want to ask you what happened to you when the market crashed last, but I ignored the fundamentals. And I got to a point where, man, if I could fog a mirror, I could get a loan. I was counting on appreciation. I thought I was in the good neighborhoods. I thought just having $100-200 a month in cash flow was good enough. But then, when the market turned, we saw it coming for, at least a year when it crashed last in 07, 08, 09. But there was this point where it just dropped off the cliff. What happened to you when the market crashed and corrected? What were some of the lessons you learned from that?
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. I was buying anything. I was taking things subject to any type of creative financing. I was buying and putting loans on things for 30-year loans. I was still in corporate, and I had a 6-figure income and a good credit score. So I was trying to build my portfolio. I had the vision, I was going to have as many rentals as I could have. Had about 50 rentals, had, probably north of $4 million in debt on these things. Wow. And the market changed on me. And I remember one of the last things I bought was a house in Joe in St. Louis. You can appreciate this, in Turtle Creek, kind of near our office. So the house in that area was about $300,000. And the guy left and went to Texas and signed it over to me subject to. And I'm like, yeah, I promise I'll make your payments. And I put a lease option buyer in there, and it was negative $50 a month cash flow. And I said, no problem, because I know in about 12 to 14 months, maybe 18 months, this thing's going to appreciate $40,000. I knew it based on history. Well, things changed. Didn't happen. I finally just got rid of that thing last year. And
you serious? You kept it that long?
Yeah. Well, I felt like when I give somebody my word, I'm going to make the payments. I'll do whatever I can do to make the payments. So going through that downturn was rough. Was rough.
Somebody's asking here, Kofori 321. What are the fundamentals that Joe is referring to? So, Chris, let me ask you that question. What are the fundamentals that you look for in rental properties or any investment property that you're going to buy and hold? Let's do buy and hold.
So for me, some of the basic fundamentals are the area. I believe in having a written vision of what area I want to be in, because St. Louis is huge. It's an hour to get anywhere. I want them all within a 20 or 30-minute drive from my house, and ideally in the same area. When I first started, and when many people start, they'd say, "Oh, we'll go anywhere for a deal, right?" So, Joe, I'd go to Kansas City for a deal if I need to, or Alabama or another state. Boy, that, you think it works and that looks good on paper, but you try to do that for very long, it's crazy. So now the fundamentals is I want to be in a certain area. I want to have a minimum of $300 a month cash flow. I don't want anything that's going to require a mortgage for longer than 5 years. And so we're blessed in St. Louis, absolutely blessed. I can find houses that are in an $80,000 to $90,000 area, and I can be buying them for about $30,000 to $35,000 as a wholesaler. So yeah, I could wholesale that on and make 5 or 10, but I can get private money at 6%, put a note on that, amortized over 5 years. It'll still cash flow a couple $100 a month.
So it's amortized over 5 years, or you have a balloon in 5 years?
Amortize. I'll amortize over 5 years.
Good for you, man.
My payment's like $600 a month, and I can rent it for 8 or 9, depending on the condition of the house. But I don't rent it. Okay, so I sell it on contract for deed. So they're the owner. They're responsible for everything. That's
amazing. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's not my primary strategy. That's my long-term retirement plan, but mainly I'm a wholesaler.
Daniel from the Facebooks is saying, do you have a real estate attorney or title company in place before doing a deal to put money in escrow and things like that? So do you have a title? Let me ask it this way, because I know you do, but is it hard for somebody who's new in the business to find a good title company that can help them with their wholesale deals or their creative deals like you're talking about?
No, but I do think it's important because the laws are so different all around the country. Like Illinois, Joe, I don't know if you knew this. Illinois just made it require a real estate license to do assignment deals, to do more than one assignment deal in a 12-month period. And that starts January 1st. So it's important that you kind of know the laws a little bit. And one of the ways to do that is call around to title companies. All of them are different. So like say in St. Louis, if I want to do a subject to deal, there's only one title company that I know of in St. Louis that will close that and give me title insurance on it. So you've got to know your strategy. And the thing is, title companies are always looking to grow their business. So most of them, you call them and set an appointment. They would love you to come in and talk to them. And they embrace new investors and new clients.
Well, one thing I tell people too is if you're looking for them, find somebody who's already doing deals in the area. Find a wholesaler that's already doing deals and bring them some leads, or her. Bring them some leads and partner with them on some deals. You're going to find out the contracts that they use, the title companies, the attorneys, maybe even some of the lenders that they use, and some of their buyers, the contracts. So it's really good idea to partner with people. So we're talking about criteria for a deal that you're going to buy and hold, right? You got a cash flow, couple 300. You got to, and that's after a 5-year AM loan at 6% interest from a private lender.
Right.
That's amazing. And is that after taxes and insurance?
No, because I passed the taxes and insurance on to my contract for deed buyer. So I might have to pay it, but they'll reimburse.
So you're acting like the bank in a certain sense.
100%.
Do you keep, this is a contract for deeds. So the deed's staying in your name.
Right. Correct? Deed stays in my name.
But you got somebody now who it's not like a lease option or a tenant, right? They are actually, they own the home in practical sense.
Yes.
Right.
In all practice, they own it.
And you're staying in not in the Class D neighborhoods, but you're probably in a B and a C neighborhood. Would you say?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, I can't do it in an A neighborhood here in St. Louis. And in many, like, I'm out in Los Angeles and ask them, hey, what's your worst neighborhood? Their worst neighborhood's $300,000. Well, I can't do it in that neighborhood. But here in St. Louis, we're blessed. We've got a kind of a B, C type neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where houses generally go for about $80,000 or $90,000. It's what I would consider starter homes, blue collar homes. There's some rentals mixed in there, but most of the areas there's probably at least 50% homeowners. So we're not in just the straight rental area, and we could still get deals. Things still cash flow. That's why I think people from other states are investing here. Other countries are investing here. The REITs, hedge funds, everybody's investing here.
And the economy is strong. It's stable. And we have the St. Louis Cardinals and the St. Louis Blues.
Right.
So what else do you need?
Stanley Cup, man. That's all you need.
All right. And we're going to go to the playoffs this year. And we're going to win the National Central Division. Okay. Anyway, what's your criteria for wholesale deals, Chris? When you're going to wholesale a deal, what kind of numbers, where do you have to be at?
Well, basic formula, 70% of ARV minus repairs. That's what landlords and rehabbers will buy for generally. And so I want to get it cheaper than that if I can. We, just like many other parts of the country, we've got some neighborhoods that are hot, and I can actually sell it for 75% or 80% of ARV minus repairs. So just kind of knowing the neighborhoods helps.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Cool. So just the typical standard Mayo formula.
Yeah.
It's been working for a long time, and it's working for you.
Right. It works great.
Talk about marketing. What, you don't have to share all your trade secrets, I know, but there is really no secret with direct mail. It's always worked, and it always will work.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you're finding that's working for you?
Well, one of the things I like about direct mail is you can ramp it up, right? So if you decide, hey, I really want to really increase my marketing, then maybe you double your direct mail spend, and you can do that in 30 minutes and get it all set up, and it goes. Most of the other things are hard to scale up. But however, I will say some people are great at networking, others are not. If you're good at networking, I feel like you should leverage that, because some of the most lucrative deals that I've seen come in through networking, a friend of a friend, and they set you up with the seller, and it's great. So if you can network, I think it's powerful.
What are some networking tips that you can give to people?
Let everybody know that you're looking for rentals and rehabs. And one of the things new wholesalers do often is they try to explain the whole wholesaling process to someone. And I'm telling you, most people just don't care. Their eyes roll up in the back of their head, but we feel like we've got to enlighten them. So I think keep it simple. Let them know you're looking for rentals and rehabs. One of the places a lot of new people tend to network is the RIA meetings, which RIA meetings can be a great source if you know how to use them. But don't skip family and friends. They know people, and just see if anybody can direct you something, because that's good too. At the RIA, it's important, I think, that you show up most of the time. Somewhere between 25 and maybe as much as 50% are all new people that come every month, and then maybe they come back, maybe they don't. So the good RIA owners are bringing in new people all the time. It's important that you go during the networking part, and it doesn't matter who's the headline speaker, unless of course it's Joe McCall, then definitely go and listen to it. But whoever the headline speaker is, don't decide, oh, I'm not going to go because I don't want to hear about, whatever it is. Go for the networking, I think, and introduce yourself to people as a buyer. So the new people that have just met you, they have no idea who you are. If you come across as credible, they'll keep your card. When they get a deal they don't know what to do with, they call you. And that's such a good way to get deals. It really is.
That's great advice. And people often overlook that and they forget. Yeah. It's called the flap your lips method.
Right.
Let's just tell people where you're from. Okay. Fire round question. We only got a few more minutes, Chris. What are some of your favorite systems and tools that you like to use?
Man, I believe in the basics. I believe you've got to have a CRM.
What do you use for CRM?
I use REI Black Book,
Okay.
but I also use Podio. So I feel strongly either one of those two can do wonderful business for you. I believe in an answering service, but a lot of people when you first start don't need that. So
what do you use?
I've got, oh boy.
Pat Live?
No, I've used
Call
Pat Live
Burr.
before, but I use, I almost said Voice Nation. Is that it?
Well, yeah, I used to use Voice Nation. That was,
Yeah.
I used to use them a lot. Chris Kirshner used to recommend them, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
I just get an email that pops up they ask him a couple basic questions in an email. So then I can decide on my own time. If it's a smoking hot deal, I'm calling them back right away. But if it's a bad deal in a war zone and they want too much, I'll call them back next week. It changes the time dynamic around to be in my favor.
Some good books that you've been reading recently.
Man, my favorite lately is the book by the FBI hostage negotiator. Don't Split the Difference.
Never Split the Difference. Great book. I
love that book. And now once I read the book and sign up on his website, now I'm getting invited to all these things. And I tell you, I wish he would go and figure out how to write a book on real estate negotiation. I think it'd be powerful.
That's a great book. Never Split the Difference. You guys should get that.
Yeah.
Any final tips, Chris, for folks that are just getting started? What would you say to them?
Be consistent. Don't give up. I think anybody in business for themselves, it's an emotional roller coaster. Make sure that you surround yourself with positive people. I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to have a mentor and a coach. And if I may be so bold as to say it, I think Joe is an amazing mentor and coach. But if it's not Joe, get someone. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, right? Follow the path of somebody that's gone before you that works. And Joe's got some powerful systems, but whoever it is, I think that's important. Nice. Everybody tries to take something and try to improve upon it. And most of the things you don't need to improve upon. What we're doing is working. We've been doing this for decades. It works. So, follow in those footsteps. That's what I
appreciate that. Appreciate that, Chris. How can people get a hold of you? Or maybe you don't want them to. It's okay to say that.
Let me give you my email address. My email address is chris@premierhomeinvestors.com. It's chris@premierhomeinvestors.com. You can email me. I check it usually about every day. And I can, if there's something I can help you with, I will. I'll get back to you.
Cool. CHRIS, right? Chris at Premier Home Investors.
Premierhomeinvestors.com.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
A shorter URL, but.
No, that's good. And if any of you are listening to this in the St. Louis area, anywhere in around the St. Louis area, in the Illinois side or Missouri side, if you're looking for a good local coach, I really recommend Chris. He knows what he's doing. His students are having tremendous success right now. So that's awesome. Hey, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you being on the podcast, man. Let's talk soon. And maybe we can go to a playoff game.
Yeah, for sure.
The Cardinals. That'll be fun.
For sure.
We'll talk later, man. I'll text you. I got to go. Thanks,
Jeff.
Chris. We'll see you guys, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.